This is one of the most misunderstood parts of Social Security: how spousal benefits actually work, how the earnings limit works, and how one spouse's decision can affect the other. Today we're going to clear up two big questions that trip a whole lot of people up today on the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show.
It's the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show.
Howdy neighbor, I'm Michael Andrews with Andrews Insurance and Advisory, and you are listening to the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show, where we tackle real-life questions about retirement, Medicare, and Social Security every week. Today we've got two really good Social Security questions, one about how spousal benefits work, and one about how the earnings limit works if you start drawing before full retirement age. All right, enough of that. Let's start with our first question. This one comes from Camille. She writes in and says, "Hey Michael, I'm 63 and so is my husband. He hasn't been able to work for the last 2 years. We're thinking about having him claim Social Security. I still work and make a good living, and his Social Security benefit is quite a bit less than mine. Would it make more sense for him to claim now and for me to claim now too, so that he could get a spousal benefit, or would it make more sense for him to claim now and for me to wait until I reach full retirement age?" Camille, thank you so much for sending in the question, and you are right. Spousal benefits can be really confusing, and a lot of people misunderstand them. So the first thing that I want to do is explain, in general, how a spousal benefit actually works. Since both of you are 63, your full retirement age is probably 67 years old. In general, the maximum spousal benefit at full retirement age is up to half of the higher earner's spouse's full retirement age benefit. And then that gets compared to what the lower earning spouse already has on their own record. So, for example, if your full retirement age benefit is $3,000, half of that would be $1,500. Your husband's full retirement age benefit, let's say, is $500. Then the spousal piece that could be roughly the difference between those two numbers is about $1,000, assuming everything is being looked at on a full retirement age basis. But there is a catch. You said that you are still working and making a good living, which tells me that there is a pretty good chance that you would be over the earnings limit if you filed now. In 2026, if you are under full retirement age for the entire year, the earnings limit is $24,480. And for every $2 that you earn over that amount, Social Security generally withholds $1 of benefits. So in a case like yours, it usually does not make much sense for you to claim at 63 just so your husband can try to draw a spousal benefit off of you. The reason is this: the spousal benefit is not really going to help if your own retirement benefit is being withheld because of your earnings. So in other words, if you're not actually receiving a check because of the earnings limit, then that also can keep the spousal benefit from really doing what we were hoping it would do in the first place. One other thing that I want to mention is that you said that your husband has not been able to work for the last 2 years. If that is because of a serious medical condition or some sort of disability, then I do think it may be worth looking into SSDI. The reason I say that is because if he qualifies, disability benefits are generally based on his disability amount rather than a reduced early retirement amount. And in some cases, Social Security can pay disability benefits for months before the application date if he met the rules. Although there is generally also a 5-month waiting period after the established onset of disability. So the way I would generally think about it is this: if your husband needs income now, it might make sense to look at whether he should file on his own record now and also explore SSDI if there is a real medical basis for it. Then, if you keep working and wait until your full retirement age of 67 to claim, that may put you in a much better position later for him to step into a spousal benefit at that point. So using your same example, if your full retirement age benefit was $3,000 and his full retirement age benefit is $500, then once you file and are actually receiving your benefit, you could potentially get a spousal bump of around $1,000 a month. Again, speaking in general terms here. So the short version is this, Camille. It probably doesn't make much sense for you both to file at 63 just to try to trigger a spousal benefit. If you're still working and likely going to be working and making over the earnings limit, the better path may be for him to be claiming on his own record, looking at SSDI if it fits his situation, and then for you to wait until full retirement age. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for sending in the question. All right, on to our next question, and this one comes from Judy. Judy writes in and says, "Hey Michael, if both people claim Social Security early and one of them is still working, how does the earnings limit work? And does that limit include the Social Security checks, or is it just income from working?" Judy, thank you so much for sending in the question, and this one kind of piggybacks off of Camille's question from earlier. If you claim Social Security before your full retirement age, which for most people nowadays is 67, then you are dealing with what is called the earnings limit. In 2026, if you are under full retirement age for the entire year, that earnings limit is $24,480. And for every $2 that you earn over the amount, $1 of benefits gets withheld. Then, in the year that you actually reach your full retirement age, things loosen up a little bit. So, for example, in 2026, that higher limit, $65,160, and every $3 that you earn over that amount, $1 gets withheld. That higher limit only applies to earnings before the month that you hit your full retirement age, because once you hit that, the earnings limit goes away completely. Now, on to the main part of your question, and that is what actually counts towards that limit. The big thing is that you need to understand that it's based on earned income, not just any type of money coming in. So what generally counts is your gross wages if you work for somebody else, or what your net earnings would be from yourself if you are self-employed. Some things that don't count would be things like pension income, annuity payments, IRA distribution, interest income, dividends, capital gains, and your Social Security benefits themselves. So if you're wondering whether your actual Social Security check counts towards the earnings limit, the answer to that question is no. It is earned income from working that Social Security is looking at. So if you claim Social Security early, the earnings limit is something you need to pay attention to, but it is based on actual work income, not your retirement income or your Social Security check itself. Judy, I hope that clears things up for you, and thank you again so much for sending in the question. All right, so that wraps up this week's episode. Today, we talked about how spousal benefits work, why timing matters when one spouse is still working, and how the earnings limit works if you're still drawing Social Security before full retirement age. If you got a question that you'd like for me to tackle on a future show, if you would, shoot me an email at michael@andrewsadv.com. I read every single one of them, and I might just answer yours on a future episode. You've worked hard to build your retirement, and you don't have to make these decisions alone. If you want a second opinion, then man, I'm here to help you. It doesn't cost anything for me to take a look, but not letting me, man, it could cost you thousands. So if you're ready to take this relationship to the next level, you can call or text me at 918-842-7379 or head over to andrewsadv.com. Click on my calendar to schedule a time that works for you. Before you go, if you're catching this on the radio, make sure that you go to the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show on YouTube and Facebook so you can keep up with future episodes and extra content during the week. And if you're already watching us on YouTube or Facebook, if you would, hit subscribe or follow so that you don't miss next week's episode. If you found this episode helpful, give it a like, leave a comment, and share it with a friend who could use some good neighborly retirement advice. Thanks again for stopping in with us, and we'll see you next week right here on the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show. Thanks.
It's the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show, helping you plan so your money will grow.